Well, as police continue to crack down on the powerful, addictive, and deadly fentanyl drug, they're also keeping a watchful eye on an old drug making a new comeback, meth.
But prosecutors say old laws are not keeping up with the times, and they're allowing dealers and meth smugglers to slip through the cracks.
Investigative reporter Dan Krauth joining us now with more on this story. Dan.
David and Sandra, I first reported on the explosion of meth some 20 years ago now. Drug enforcement officers say it's making a comeback. But instead of users seeking out the drug, it's being mixed into a number of other drugs, including pills, and those experimenting have no idea what's inside. When police found a drug packaging operation inside a Bronx apartment building in December, a building with a daycare nearby, they had to go in hazmat gear. The fumes too powerful.
A number of the investigators who entered on the scene were overcome by the fumes. And so these drugs are very dangerous.
We now know, after lab testing, the drugs inside the apartment coolers were filled with meth and other drugs like fentanyl and heroin. The DEA says nationwide, they expect to seize double the amount of meth this year compared to last year.
Methamphetamine is by far the most coveted drug in the United States. This is what people want.
It's an addictive, man-made drug that's cheap to produce, so dealers are adding it into mixtures of other drugs. Everything from white powders to the club drug pink cocaine to pills advertised as legitimate prescriptions.
Anybody who's buying anything on the street could be getting methamphetamine.
Locally, the New York City Special Narcotics Prosecutor says they're seizing the drug in new and unexpected places.
Meth is becoming another drug that's going to poach on our territory here, and we don't have the tools we need necessarily to rein it in.
They recently seized a package full of meth they say was shipped from California to an apartment on West 38th Street. In another case, they seized 30 pounds of the man-made drug at a luxury apartment building in Hell's Kitchen. And in a third case, they pulled over a driver in Lower Manhattan and found more than 100 pounds of crystal meth in his car. The street value, $600,000.
We seized the 110 pounds and he was released. We couldn't even ask for bail because it's not considered a narcotic drug in New York State.
She says the driver is nowhere to be found, never showed up for court.
Still missing today. So one of our big concerns is, in a sense, the lack of accountability for people bringing meth in.
In New York, if someone's caught with large quantities of heroin, cocaine, or fentanyl, they can be put in jail, and a judge can set a high dollar amount for bail. Meth is not considered a narcotic, so the most a judge can grant is supervised release.
Methamphetamine, even though it's been around now for quite some time, and we've asked the legislature to consider putting it in that category of narcotic drugs, it's never been added in.
This sounds like it would be an easy fix.
It would be an easy fix.
It would be, but at the time the laws were drafted, meth wasn't an issue. Prosecutors say they're going to try to continue to press lawmakers to change its classification. Now, I reached out to the governor's office about that classification. She says she's tried to have it changed twice over the past 2 years to have it match federal guidelines, but it keeps getting blocked by the state legislature.
Why?
I don't think it's necessary that they don't want it, but they have different priorities during budget season to pass.
I see.
But we'll see what happens this year.
Thanks.